Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Infinite Danger Room. We are here with Anthony Brown, Chris Borthick, and Matt Howlett. And today we're kind of looking at forgotten Fantastic Four members. Everybody thinks about the core four. When you think about, there's going to be a Fantastic Four movie or TV show, you'd think about the core four, Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, Human Torch, and Thing. But there have been, 4 or 5 times the amount of people in the Fantastic Four, one way or another, other than the core four. So for the next 15, 20 minutes, we're just going to talk about some of our favorite people that maybe have been forgotten, that have been in the Fantastic Four or been part of the team for a short time, that maybe aren't always immediately associated with them. Maybe talk about some of the stories they were involved in or why we like them. So, Anthony, you're kind of our Fantastic Four expert. Is there a fifth Fantastic Four member, like the fifth Beatle? Is there somebody you say, well, if it's not the four, the next main one is this person, or what do you think?
Well, I mean, if you're going to say there's a fifth one, then obviously their son Franklin Richards would be number 5, because, now he kind of wears a shirt that has 5, and Valerio will wear a shirt that wears 6, or at one point he was wearing the half shirt. So
4.5, yeah.
Exactly. So Franklin would technically be the 5th member of the Fantastic Four. If we're talking about lost members of the Fantastic Four, for me personally, you have to start with H.E.R.B.I.E the robot. I love H.E.R.B.I the robot. I was so appreciative of his even spot on the TV show or on the cartoon when it was Reed, Sue, Ben, and H.E.R.B.I, and just their entire interplay. Obviously, in the comic books, he doesn't get as much run, and he's just kind of a bot that's there and does chores and cleans up, and every now and then he'll malfunction, and there'll be some comedic moments. But because of the cartoon and my interaction with that as a child, to me, H.E.R.B.I the robot is the essential 5th member. He did appear before Franklin. So if we're throwing out spots and talking about the lost members of the Fantastic Four, H.E.R.B.I didn't even make the list on Wikipedia that Matt pulled from. But H.E.R.B.I the robot.
To be fair, I stopped writing. So.
Well, it looks like the list is in chronological order, so the fact that whoever put that on Wikipedia didn't throw H.E.R.B.I the robot in there.
Didn't throw H.E.R.B.I a bone.
So I love H.E.R.B.I. He's here to stay. Give me a H.E.R.B.I the robot t-shirt.
All right. Matt, favorite forgotten or lost member of the Fantastic Four?
Well, I like how he said the 5th member and then his...
Yeah. What do you think?
I think Spider-Man is the 5th member. Now, I know that there are probably 15 characters that were part of the team before Spider-Man joined the team. However, I feel like his relationship with Johnny Storm has always been kind of a rivalry.
Back. Yeah.
Sort of. I mean, they've always assisted each other when times were tough. So I think of Spider-Man as the 5th member. I mean, I think that especially if we're talking about 5th member of the Beatles, we could find a list this long, if not longer, as well. So just throwing that
Sure.
out there. As far as long lost member, not really a member per se, but I always like the interactions with Silver Surfer and the team. I don't think he's ever worn a 4 on his shirt, so to speak.
But he's in there. He's helped them out for sure.
But I mean, he very well could be a member at one point if they ever did something intergalactic. I think the Silver Surfer, I mean, his calling is way greater than anything Reed Richards could come up with, but they intertwine often enough to where he could be a member if they had something very important to do.
Well, when you talk about iconic Fantastic Four stories, you can't really tell those stories. Like, the most iconic story is the coming of Galactus, and you can't tell that story without the Silver Surfer. Right. To swing back to Spider-Man, they consider him a part of the family when they told the 3 story, and Johnny was the one that ultimately ended up dying, so we thought. In his will, it said, have Spider-Man join, have Peter join, because he's as much a part of the family as I am. And even in the stories where they're celebrating Franklin's birthday, the person that he wanted at the party the most was Peter and Spider-Man, which really made Johnny mad, but it was still, so Pete is part of the Fantastic Four family. And even now, well, actually not currently because of the fall of Peter Parker, but when the post Secret Wars 3 storyline concluded, Parker Industries' home base was in the Baxter Building, so he bought it, took residence up there, and even before he went bankrupt, he gave it back to, and this is spoiler alert, in issue 1 of Marvel 2-in-1, he kind of gave all that stuff back to Ben and Johnny for them to go and play with.
That's cool. Yeah, I probably would have said Spider-Man also, but one of the other fifth members that I always think of that was a lot of fun was She-Hulk. I always thought the She-Hulk run with her in the book was tremendous, and I like that character a lot. She brings a whole different dynamic to things. She's fun. Lost members of the Fantastic Four, though, I don't know. It's always nebulous whether you call him a member or not, but Doctor Doom is always seeming to find a little slot, even temporarily, on there to save the day, etc., in a very awkward way. But but he's so much fun too. I mean,
I think I could almost make an argument Doctor Doom is kind of your fifth member. I mean, he's been so much a part of the book.
Yeah.
Does the book become the hit it becomes? I mean, this is maybe not in story, but without that Doctor Doom menace showing up early, are they as successful? So Doctor Doom has always been a very key part of the Fantastic Four, whether working with them or against them.
He's their Darth Vader. I mean, he's 100% that dark villain character for them to be thwarted by. I mean, he's cool.
My favorite, probably, I don't know, Lost member is just because this was on a comic that I bought from a very young age, was when Luke Cage is joining up. Back when you think, when the covers still make you think, oh, this is going to be a change for, like, what? Luke Cage is going to be a guy in the Fantastic Four? Who are they going to kick out? What's going to happen? So I just always liked it when Luke Cage is kicking around the Fantastic Four, just based on that was an early comic I bought. Yeah. And I think it is kind of an interesting dynamic between... Luke Cage is very much a pragmatic character, where the Fantastic Four, especially with Reed, can tend to be somewhat theoretical. So it gives you kind of they're working not at cross purposes, but certainly with different tactics.
Yeah, he was also paid to be there.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, Ben is down. We need some muscle. Luke Cage, hero for hire. We're gonna hire you. So come on down. The next forgotten character for me is Valeria Richards, but it's the older teenage one that showed up in the Heroes Return storyline that took place for quite some time, where Sal LaRocca was doing the art. I really enjoyed her as a character. I loved the storyline where she came to be and to be a part of the family, and then ultimately, a little bit further down the road, they ended up actually creating her as the younger child version that's here, but that version with that power set, and I don't want to give it away, but I believe that now that Marvel and the Fantastic Four have reunited, they're going to start reprinting a lot of the stuff and putting that stuff back out there in print. But just Valeria Richards and how she came to be in that entire storyline that surrounded it, I really enjoyed her and that character. So teenage Valeria.
Oh, okay. Let's see. As far as a long lost character, I said it in a prior podcast. Black Panther and Storm. I think that's kind of a team, like they kind of go together. They're two different teammates, but they're only there together. Some of the comics that I got into when I was in college is when I kind of got back into comics. It was around this time of Civil War. Marvel Zombies was the thing, and I thought Marvel Zombies was really cool. Like, oh wow, like a zombie version of the Marvel Universe. And the first spin-off of that, I think, is tied between Ash versus the Marvel Zombies and the Fantastic Four miniseries, where they go to the world of Marvel Zombies, and Black Panther and Storm were part of this team, and that was just a very fond story. I remember reading as a teenager and thinking it was really cool, and I want more stories like that with that dynamic of Black Panther and Storm, although they'd have to do a lot of either retcons that bring that back together, or they'd have to reconcile those characters' relationships so they could now join the team. But I think if we ever got another comic like that, we're probably going to see the core team soon in publication before we saw that. But that's just something I look forward to.
I would throw out to maybe the oldest forgotten member, Crystal from the Inhumans, because she's the tie-in to the Inhumans, to all of those stories when they were kind of exploring that culture and that lost civilization. You had great appearances by Lockjaw, and of course Medusa later joins up. But there was the sort of romance thing going on, Crystal and Human Torch, if I remember right.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, I don't know. She was just in when I was reading FF. Went back and started reading early FF. Anyway, she's in there a lot. So it was. She's a good character, and she brings a lot of story with her. So
I'm going to go a little off the beaten path here and talk about a title that I think kind of gets forgotten about a little bit, which is Fantastic Four 2099.
Oh yeah,
It did have seemingly the original four, but we were never sure were they original. Are they displaced in time? Are they clones, or what the deal is? And here's the thing: I never actually got to finish the series, so I don't know how it ended up. But the first 8 or 9 issues I thought was great. That's one I'd like to dig out and get the whole run, because the 2099 universe I think ended maybe before they totally wrapped it up. I'm not sure I'll get a satisfying answer. But I think that really, at the time, felt a lot like a core Fantastic Four book, even though it was set in kind of a spin-off universe.
Gotcha. So, for me, I'm going to swing back around to Frankie Ray Nova. I love what they did with her, because she was the yin to Johnny's yang in what she brought to the story and to the series. And then ultimately she ends up getting powers and becomes a Herald of Galactus. But I thought that she was a fun character to have in the story for some time, because of their relationship and how she was more rambunctious than Johnny was, and just more free-spirited and more freewheeling. And then for her to get powers and to ultimately end up serving Galactus. And I believe you can find it. It's really, really hard to find in trade, but the Trial of Galactus has that story in there. And so you can really enjoy Frankie Ray as Nova. You kind of get walked through some of Sue Richards' terrible hairstyles in that, but because in that one she's sporting a really bad look, or maybe it's just the artist that was drawing her at the time, but the rest of the art throughout the story is really good, and it is the Trial of Galactus trade is really good. So bringing Frankie Ray Nova into that and checking that out is something that I recommend for everybody.
Cool. Just realized, with the amount of characters we wrote down here, just going around the table 4 times, we're going to run out of ones to talk about. But I like how the Watcher always kind of appears in Fantastic Four stories. He's not really a member of the team, but it seems like his is a he, she. I guess it doesn't really. I guess you can call it he. How he does appear when something major is about to happen, but it always seems like it's more in the FF titles. Very kind of a just cool, like that he's whatever Reed Richards is doing or the Fantastic Four are doing is so important that the Watcher is like getting a front row seat view of it to make sure he's not missing anything. And I always like kind of like when you see that happening, so when you see the Watcher in a comic that you're reading, okay, this is going to be a good one. There's something cool is going to happen in this issue. So that's a character that I always enjoy seeing in the FF books.
Well, if we're going with that track, I mean, you can't not mention Namor.
Right.
Namor is the ultimate other kind of foil / just complication for the team. The sort of hints at romance and romantic rivalry with maybe temptation, I guess, maybe for Sue Storm. Not that she would ever, but yeah, I mean, the Submariner is just like he's one of those classic supporting characters. Never really been officially on the team, but he's part of the canon just as much as Dr. Doom, obviously.
He's a lot like Wolverine to me. I don't care for Namor. I have enjoyed the way he's been written in different titles over the years, but him and Wolverine both do a lot of dirty macking on married women, and so I'm just like, yeah, you guys need to get out of here. Like, don't break up Scott and Jean. Don't break up Reed and Sue. Like, there are plenty of superhero heroines out there. Like, go kick it with them, or go do that somewhere else.
Right.
To jump back a second to the Watcher, I think that the Watcher helps bring gravity to just how epic the Fantastic Four's adventures are and the role that they play in the grander Marvel universe, because until the Fantastic Four magically kind of disappeared from Marvel Comics, you didn't really see the Watcher showing up in Avengers. as big as the Phoenix was, like, I don't know that I ever saw the Watcher in X-Men outside of, hey, the Phoenix Force is flying by the moon, and then, like, you see the Watcher's big head kind of sitting there. Like, no, the Watcher is in these Fantastic Four titles because this is that major, and then he's also interacting with these characters. Like, the Watcher doesn't come to see Spider-Man, you know, fight Green Goblin for the 90th time. Like, no, he's here because, like, this is big-ticket stuff. And it lends just some extra gravity to what it is the Fantastic Four are doing.
I mentioned in one of our previous podcasts, this is just as a forgotten member, that I did like Miss Marvel, Sharon Ventura. That's kind of what triggered us to maybe do this show, to talk about people that are in the Fantastic Four that kind of have fallen out and been forgotten about. And you can listen to that show for kind of Anthony's take on kind of where she's at now and everything. But I did enjoy when she kind of came up from when they were doing things in the wrestling business for a while. She came up from there, became a member of the Fantastic Four, developed the thing like powers. And again, I just kind of like when they bring in some of these unusual people and they get brought up to kind of the A-list A-team for a while. Although sometimes they are somewhat forgotten about, and you'd think they'd at least call her, from time to time, check on her, see how she's doing.
Well, that's why she got mad in the fall of the Fantastic Four. She was just like, "Hey, I'm sitting here in jail, and you guys never call, never."
I was on the right. I was on the team. I mean, that's a legit point.
Yep, right. And so I guess the last thing that I want to talk about, because the timing to me, maybe when we release this, is going to be in sync with the Black Panther, but his interaction with the Fantastic Four. Not just him serving as a replacement post-Civil War.
Right, but that's where he first appeared.
That's where he first appeared, but also we know that the King of Wakanda can have a very regal attitude, but it's never been that way with the Fantastic Four. Mm-hmm. When he needed help or when he needs help, he always goes to the Fantastic Four. He has a great deal of respect for all four of the members of the Fantastic Four. And even with this movie coming up, Claw is going to be in there, and he is a classic Fantastic Four villain. I think the trade just came out, it's on the shelf, where with him fighting the Claw, or I know those issues are coming out soon. But I mean, the whole Black Panther gimmick and Wakanda and the technology stuff, he bounces ideas for technology, or he uses some of Reed's ideas for what it is that they're doing. And so for me, the Black Panther is an essential member of the Fantastic Four comic, and he's kind of forgotten because the book isn't on shelves. So whenever they do make it back, or even with what they're doing in Marvel 2-in-1, and they're going to do some of their globe-trotting adventures, I really want to see the two of them, or I want to see what happens when Black Panther gets together, because even when they were doing the New Avengers with the Illuminati, it was always kind of, T'Challa and Reed are over here kind of plotting on how they're going to save the world and do all that stuff, and then we're going to clue in everyone else. And I don't know, I could talk forever about Black Panther and the Fantastic Four and the City of the Dead, or how Black Panther became the King of the Dead, and just that entire story arc as well. But I love the Fantastic Four and all their characters, and everyone, even the people that they put in as replacements. It's not like kind of iterations of the Avengers where it's just like, this doesn't really work. Like with the Fantastic Four and everyone that they plug in, it all kinds of works, and they all have seminal stories that you can point to and say, yeah, that Ant-Man one was really good. The Black Panther and Storm stuff was really good. The Frankie Ray Nova, and you can point to a trade or a specific set of issues and be like, yeah, this is really awesome.
All right, any final thoughts, Matt?
Although not really a forgotten character, but these stories where the Thing loses his powers, becomes just Ben Grimm, and he's just a regular old dude with this team, and he's still a vital member of the team, even though he's not super strong anymore. In some issues, he has a suit that he wears that he kind of can be strong, but it always malfunctions. But I like how so many times either he will go back to being the Thing by his own choice, or something tragically will happen where he gets the powers back, and he not by his choice, but it's always kind of funny. Like, that's later issues, they kind of stopped doing the Thing is down because he'll never be a real man again, and he's always going to be this big rock creature. just because he's had the chance to go back, but he always chooses to go back to being the Rock thing versus just being Regal Benjamin.
Mm-hmm.
And I like those stories just because it kind of tells you, it answers those what if he doesn't have that power anymore, and now they can kind of move on and let him just be a big Rock fighting machine.
Well, that's something that I wonder what happened kind of post Secret Wars, because there's still a lot of things that were pre-continuity or pre-Secret Wars that you don't know what happened post Secret Wars. In Avengers World, the Child Avengers were here, but now no one's seen them since. Prior to Secret Wars, and when the Fantastic Four still had a book, every 7 years the Thing's powers would wear off, and he could walk around as human for 24 hours. And so I want to see if that's still kind of the case, or in which direction they're going to go. But he still has the ability to turn into a human. It's not as big of a deal, but and that would be the only time that he aged. So in one of the stories that they had did in the Jonathan Hickman run, it showed him way out in the future because he hadn't died yet, because the only time he would age is once every 7 years when he lost or when he became human again. So it's just hey, I'm out here and I'm sitting next to the statue, and then at one point Franklin is still alive because he's kind of omniversal now, or whatever it is. His powers become full bloom. But with a thing, I wonder what they're going to do with that power set, or at least that gift that he was given from Reed to turn human once every 7 years.
Chris, did you have a final
thought? Well, I've always liked all the guest stars, and one of my favorite arcs from back in the day is actually the Fantastic Four have apparently perished, and there's the new group with Grey Hulk and Spider-Man and Ghost Rider and Wolverine. It's temporary, but it's fun. I mean, it's fun to see them try to fill the shoes, even for a little bit, because those are super big shoes to fill. But there's always something cool and creative going on with the FF, that's for sure.
I think it's fun how much you can twist the concept, with the new FF or with the Future Foundation stuff, or with these different, you can take essentially the super family, but you can permutate the concept quite a bit and have it still work and have it still give you a compelling story. So, I mean, that's just probably a bit of a testament to what Stan Lee and Jack Kirby set up, with something that has so many ways it can twist and turn and be a solid story. So, okay, if that's final thoughts from everybody, let's wrap it up. We'd love to hear what you think. Who are your favorite members of the Fantastic Four? Who do you think has been maybe unjustly maligned or lost that you'd like to see get more attention? Let us know. Shoot us an email, infinitedangerroom@gmail.com, or find us on Facebook. We're Infinite Danger Room there, or we're at Danger Infinite on Twitter. You can also listen to us on SoundCloud or via newsok.com, or leave us a rating or a review on iTunes. In the meantime, I'm Matthew Price. I'm joined here today by Anthony Brown, Chris Borthick, and Matt Howlett. Thank you for listening.